Whenever we're ready, gentlemen.
Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today is Thursday, November 7th, 2019. Board will be hearing regular items, new transfers, expansions, and hardships. When your case is called, please step forward, state your name into the microphone. If you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. And lastly, if you have a phone or other electronic device, I would ask that you silent it or turn it off now. Mr. Chairman, may I start with two preliminary matters?
Please.
B. Moore Thai, 1006 Light Street. This matter has been postponed and will be set on a future date. 6401 East Lombard Street. This matter has been postponed and will be set on a future docket. Calling the first case, Penn and Pratt Restaurant LLC, trading as Penn and Pratt Restaurant, 663 through 65 West Pratt Street. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1603C1 small I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 40% of food sales, and seating capacity for 75 but not more than 150 individuals, requesting off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the applicants.
Good morning. Are we going to Santorini for this?
You recognize it.
In there.
You the one who wrote on the wall?
Ladies, would you raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you?
I do.
All right.
The applicants in this case, they was a Class D license there for years. Their dad and their uncle operated up to about a year ago. And then there was a result of which there were some legal matters. They finished in, and now their dad owns the whole building. They've been running this restaurant probably for the last 15, 20 years with the family, so it's going to continue that. So they're familiar with the rules and regulations. They're just going to get a 7-day beer, wine, and liquor license. I think we submitted, it should be in your packet, a Mr. Jonathan Melnick, and with some pictures of the place. It's right near the University of Maryland hospital and so forth. Mr. Melnick has come up with, since it was an existing place, the capital investment of $355,920. You have the menu there, so you have. Oh, okay, so make sure it's a pretty menu, isn't it?
Well, it's Santorini.
Yeah, it's
Time.
very eye appealing. It's a nice menu. They're out. Oh, did you get one?
I was just looking at this.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Their alcohol that they sell, maybe 10%. More as an addition.
Racina?
No.
So
I can get it.
they have an existing license.
No, the D expired,
Oh, the D expired.
and because of the legal dispute, they couldn't keep it going, so they're applying for a new B. They meet the qualifications of the license. The alcohol's certified. They'll make sure that the servers, get certified, and they've been serving, if you see, since 1975 that location.
And you're Stella?
I am.
And you're Demetra?
Yes.
Okay. And are you related?
We're sisters. Yes.
Oh, okay. You had different last names, so I assume one of you married somebody at some point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Is there anything from the community, any outreach? I know it's been there for a
I
while.
don't think there's any, it's mainly it's the hospitals there and the universities right across the street.
The law school's there, too. You get any of those people?
Oh, yeah. They need a break sometimes and come over.
It was, when I attended there a million years ago, it wasn't easy to find a place nearby that where you could get good food and drink.
How many seating? is-
95 to 97, I think it's on the chart, the floor plan that's there. Should be on the back of Mr. Melnick's,
And you need a minimum of 75? Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I see it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further?
nothing for him to submit.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits which have been received this morning into evidence, the proffers from counsel, and testimony, I would vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I agree for the same reasons and vote to approve the application of this new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I concur and approve the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Good luck.
I have to say that this does not look like West Pratt Street to me.
No, it really
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Capital Investment. Board Exhibit 2, Menu.
Calling the next case, Soybean Incorporated, trading as Kong Pacha, 12 through 16 West 20th Street. It's an application to transfer ownership of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Counsel?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioner, and
Will you identify yourself for the record?
yes, my name is Jay Yu, representing the applicants, Mrs. Kang and Ms. Johnson.
Would you ladies raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you?
So Ms. Kang is going to run this operation?
Yes, she is the primary, the principal, and she has entered into a contract to purchase this location. She has been managing it for a while now. She used to work as a server for past 5 years at the restaurant next door, which is the, I think it's called a Chonggak restaurant. It's a Korean restaurants that are side by side. So she had an opportunity, came up, so she decided to go into a business for herself. She does have plenty of experience of serving beer, wine, and liquor for past 5 years, and she has a business experience.
Is she certified?
Yes, she is certified, and also her husband and employee.
So will they be also handling alcohol, your husband and others at the
Yes.
place?
So I did advise her that all the servers must be certified.
Okay.
So she will make sure of that. Ms. Johnson, she is a lifelong resident of Baltimore City. She is qualified, obviously.
I know Ms. Johnson.
You do. How you doing on it?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I thought I recognized you when you came up, but you're out of context.
Yes.
Okay.
I cut my hair.
Obviously, she works for the state as a clerk at the circuit court, and that's how I got to know her. So she is a person of good moral character, along with Mrs. Kang, and I believe they're qualified. So
She does have good moral character, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yu. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from counsel and testimony received, and any exhibits received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of this B beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur for the same reasons and vote to approve the transfer of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur and would approve the transfer of ownership for this beer B license.
Good luck.
thank you.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Calling the next case, Indreni International LLC, trading as Apple Tree Liquors, 4159 Patterson Avenue. Is an application to transfer ownership of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
Good
Morning.
morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of applicant.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge and information?
I do.
Okay. And you are Ms. Mahat?
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman. Just learned out how to exactly pronounce my client's name. It's Sadiksha. The Y is silent. Ms. Mahat is extremely qualified in alcohol management. Although she's young compared to me, she has worked at Broadway Liquors in Fells Point, Howard Liquors at 3 North Howard Street, and has a family that has been involved in the restaurant business. Her parents own Nepal House on Charles Street, so she's been around retail experience and dealing with alcohol since she was a young person. So she's never been involved in any kind of violations or anything like that. As somebody who has been employed, at least part-time in that industry for so long, she already understands her obligations to be alcohol management certified, and she was reissued back on April of this year. So she's certified through 2023 at this point. I'll present that to the board at this time.
Okay. Are you going to be working alone there, ma'am, or have others with you?
No, we'll have others. I have family help, and we
Thank you.
have employees that are being trained and getting alcohol certification as well.
Okay. And they will understand about carding everybody and making sure that things are purchased in the right place and all
Yes.
that?
This is in the Patterson Village Shopping Center. It's been a liquor store for about 14 years.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Fogelman?
No, not today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the exhibit received proffers from counsel and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer of the license, the Class A beer, wine, and liquor license to the applicant.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of ownership of this license.
Good luck.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, alcohol awareness certification. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Sol Corporation, trading as Erdman Liquors, 3931 Erdman Avenue. There's an application to transfer ownership of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
Sit over here. Abraham Hurd on behalf of Sol Corporation, 3931 Erdman Avenue.
Good morning, and would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
Mr. Hurdle?
This is an in-location transfer, so it's a new corporation, new licensees taking over of an existing location that's previously been in place for some time. Ms. Yu has about 9 years' experience in the industry. She has been previously TAM certified. I believe she might still be. I just am reluctant to say so on the record. Both her and Mr. White will be TAM certified when they open, as will any other employees. Mr. White is new to the industry. Ms. Yu, again, as I mentioned, has significant experience. We'll be working together to make sure that they buy only from wholesalers, are carding everybody, and following the general rules of the Baltimore City Liquor Board.
Will anybody besides the two of them be working there?
Do you have any other employees, Ms. Yu?
Yeah.
Uh,
Two employees.
Two employees and her husband.
And will they be certified as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And is the Erdman Liquors, I mean, you say it's been an existing business for some time, but they get along with the community organizations? And
We had no contact from the community association, which in my mind leads me to believe that they haven't had any issues. I know that that might be a stretch, but typically stores that do have significant trouble when there's a transfer application put up, they get a lot of resistance or push for an MOU, and that wasn't the case in this situation.
Okay. Did you say Ms. Yu has been at this place?
She has not been. She has 9 years' experience at other stores.
At other stores, okay. Well, if you should encounter any problems in the community, I hope you'll engage with them and try to resolve those things.
Absolutely. And should there be any issue with the community, we're always happy to engage and address those concerns. It's always a situation in my mind where new stores isn't if, it's when they have a small problem and how they address it going forward.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application and the proffers from counsel and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur for the same reasons and vote to approve the transfer of this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
I vote to approve the transfer of ownership.
Good luck.
Thank you, Commissioners. Would you be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Calling the next case, Red Star Fells Point LLC, trading as Red Star, 906 South Wolf Street. This is an application to transfer ownership of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Please come forward and raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
I do.
Is it parent or
Parent.
parent?
It's,
Parent. Is that you, Rahana?
Yep.
Okay. And you are?
Christopher Hannon.
Okay. And you want to tell us about this, what's going on?
Sure. We're transferring the Class B license that's already at Red Star from the previous owner to the current ownership, which is myself, Henry James McLaughlin, and Kevin Havens.
Okay. And what is your experience with alcohol?
Our current partnership, we own McGarvey's in Annapolis.
Oh, okay. And you've had that for some time?
I have.
Okay.
I also appear on a liquor license as an individual applicant for Boston Street Seafood trading as Bo Brooks.
Okay.
So 50 years of experience.
Okay. And Ms. Parent?
I have been with Red Star since 2004, since we opened. I've been on the liquor license between the original owner that they purchased from has had Waterfront and Red Star. So I've been on the liquor license between the two of them for the last 10 years or so. And I've stayed on to help them.
Okay. And did you say that Red Star is going to remain the same, it's just a matter of transferring it?
Yes, sir.
So everything's
Yes, sir.
remaining exactly the same? Okay. And any staff who work there will be trained as to alcohol?
Yes, sir. In fact, we've already started recertifying everyone this past Monday.
Okay.
Has there been any communication with the neighborhood association, because that's a pretty active area?
Not a specific association, but we have met with the Historical Preservation Society as well as the Main Street, but the individual representing the residents, we haven't as of yet, but we're happy to engage in any and all opportunities.
Okay.
Okay, thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in your application, the testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur for the same reasons and vote to approve the transfer of ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur and also vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits. How you doing? Good.
How you doing? Call the next case. This is a secured creditor, no trade name, 4314 Curtis Avenue. There's a request for a hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202 for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the secure creditor.
And you wrote to us, Mr. Kadensky, back on October 2, said the license was renewed in June, and it's been transferred as of August. And how much more time were you requesting?
We requested that, according to the docket, the original 180 days was going to run out on December the 25th, which is an auspicious day. I'm sure Santa wouldn't mind. So we're asking for 180 days past December 25th, which would be the first 180 days that would expire.
In order to find a new licensee?
Well, and just coincidentally, as I was talking with Mr. Griffey, that the current people that are in there now want to renew some sort of negotiations with it, but it could be that they could come back in. But in abundance of caution, we want to make sure we have enough time to go ahead and negotiate that.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you. On the basis then of the letter which we received of October 2, 2019 from Mr. Kadensky and his proffers this morning, I vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the hardship extension.
I vote to approve the 180-day hardship extension.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Calling next case, 33 RPM LLC, trading as Babies on Fire, 1616 Thames Street. There's a request for a transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Oh, sorry, beer, wine license.
Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Are you Mr. Bauer?
No, I'm Mr. Kozlowski.
Mr. Bauer is
don't
our
have
friend
shorts
from
on.
Hamden. Yes, I thought so.
I'm wearing pants.
Oh, okay. So your name is what?
No man bun either. David Kozlowski.
Okay. And your name, ma'am?
Shirley Hale Kozlowski.
Okay. And so you all are the applicants, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And Mr. Bauer was helping you out with this, I guess? He wrote us a letter back on October 16th requesting the extension?
Yep.
Okay, and what's the purpose for the extension?
We just finished all our build out actually as we speak. He's walking the health department through tomorrow's fire inspection, so just to kind of, we got down to the line and I didn't want to lose it, so we just filed for the extension.
And are you asking for 90 days or 180 days?
A week.
Yeah.
90 days would be sufficient?
Yeah, I think
Be
90 days will be
sufficient,
sufficient.
With the transfer hardship, they can only request up to 90 days, not to exceed 270.
Thank you, Mr. Akris. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the letter which Mr. Bauer sent to us on October 16th on your behalf and your testimony today, I'd vote to approve a hardship extension up to 90 days.
I concur and vote to approve the hardship extension for up to 90 days.
I concur and vote to approve the 90-day transfer
Good luck.
Good luck.
No
Do we need to
exhibits?
pick up anything, or?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
So is that the morning docket, Mr. Akras?
Mr. Chairman, that is the morning docket. Board is in recess until 1 p.m. sharp.
Thank you. Larry, see you at 1. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's afternoon docket. The board will be hearing violation cases. When your case is called, please step forward, state your name into the microphone. If you're going to be providing testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. If you have a phone or electronic device, I would ask that you silence it or shut it off now. Mr. Chair, calling the first case. Trans New Edison Lounge, Kyung Man Incorporated, 3133 through 35 East Monument Street. It's a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.20C, small double I, Class BD7 licensees open and operating taverns at all times.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of the licensee.
Good afternoon. All those who are going to testify, please raise your right hand.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
I do.
So this is Rule 4.20, small c, small double I violation. Mr. Hurdle, admission or denial?
We admit to the violation, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you wish to
We
be
would
heard?
waive the right of the reading if you need. We do wish to be heard.
Please do.
This is a situation where a new manager was hired, and that manager, there's no better way to describe it, kind of went off reservation, I guess is the best way to describe it. We heard about this violation, the manager was terminated. It's been kind of a building, trying to rebuild since then, because a lot of damage was done. We think both with the liquor board and just in terms of the business functioned. We certainly take responsibility for what I would consider that hiring. And of course, we're responsible, or the licensee is responsible for that manager without question. We would just ask for kind of any mercy and understanding with the situation. On occasion, you get somebody who's doesn't quite do what they say they're going to, and that's exactly what happened here. My client is 100% aware of the BD7 tavern rules that the bar area has to be open at all times and it's not even a packaged goods area, but the whole place has to be open all the time. The sink has to be functional. It can't be a storage room. He's absolutely aware of that situation. His mother's been in the business for years. They have a store. He has a store. He's aware of it.
Okay. Who was involved in this? You, ma'am?
All of us.
Well, who dealt with the individual at the place?
Inspector Terry Chase and Agent Clark.
I just wanted to find out if they were cooperative with you, whether they gave you a hard time. What was the?
Yes, when we actually went into the establishment, we had asked her if we could get in the back, and she was stating that they were just cleaning up, and that she was very much so cooperative with not letting us in the back.
Okay. But you didn't have any significant problems?
No.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. So on the basis of the materials charged here in these documents and the admission that was entered on behalf of the licensee by counsel and the testimony received and proffers, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, open and operating tavern at all times on August 29, 2019. Licensee's record has a couple of sales to minors last year, and before that another open and operating one. He's had the license for almost 6 years now. So I would impose a $2,000 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, open operating on August 29, 2019, and he does have, this is his second open operating, other violations, sales to minors, as the judge mentioned. I concur with the imposition of a $2,000 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, on August 29, 2019. Based upon the licensee's record, I would concur with the imposition of a $2,000 fine.
Could I request 90 days for the payment of that fine instead of 30, please?
Are we permitted to do that, Mr. Akers?
We are not.
I'm sorry. I would have, but I don't think we can.
Timeline extension, or is it?
We are not allowed to go beyond that. That was an audit issue.
Okay,
Sorry. Thank you.
thank you. May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Mr. Hurdle. Hurdle. I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1, Baltimore State Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Exhibit number 2, investigation report, Inspector Chase.
Mr. Chair, permission to call out of order.
Please.
Calling the next case, Alberto Duran Hernandez, sole proprietorship, trading as Oriental Sports Bar, 3820 East Pratt Street, is violation of Rule 3.08B, sanitation and safety, and on September 22nd, 2019, and a violation of Rule 3.08B, sanitation and safety, on October 13th, 2019.
Would all those who are going to testify come forward and raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, so help you?
Yes.
Are you Mr. Hernandez, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So you're charged with 2 separate violations of this rule, one on September 22 and one on October 13. Do you wish to admit or deny the violations?
Admit.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what's going on?
It's a mistake. I think I wasn't here. I was working outside. I paid a company to come and clean it, but they didn't show up. So, I mean, there's no excuse, you know.
Hope you're not paying them. Because they're not showing up.
To go get the trash, you know. But
Okay. So did it get cleaned up eventually? Do we know?
Ms. Chase? No.
Inspector
State your
Chase.
name, please. Yeah.
Inspector Chase. I haven't been back since the violation was issued.
Okay. And was he cooperative with you?
He wasn't. The establishment wasn't open at the time, so I didn't get to speak with anyone.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
What are you doing to ensure that trash is being picked up now?
can I get some pictures? I don't know if I can get a copy and send it to the guys to be responsible too, because you know that's why they're getting paid for it.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're working on it.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further.
Okay, on the basis then of the charging materials contained in the record, the testimony received, I'd find a violation of rule, and including the admission by the licensee, I'd find a violation of Rule 3.08 small b on September 22, 2019, and again on October 13, 2019. The record has had the license since 2017. It's had sales to minors in the past. I'd impose a $750 fine as to each of the violations and give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 3.08 small b on September 22nd, 2018, and a violation of the same rule on October 13, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $750 fine as to each violation.
I find a violation of Rule 3.08B on September 22nd, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $750 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.08B on October 13th, 2019, and would also concur with the imposition of a $750 fine.
Thank you, sir.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Agent Martin. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Liquor Board complaint printout. Board Exhibit 3, 311 call inspection printout. And Exhibit number 4, BLC complaint printout.
Permission to continue to call out of order?
Please.
Calling Compadres 1 LLC, trading as Alantro, 4020 East Lombard Street. It's Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 3.08B, sanitation and safety, September 14th, 2019.
Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, so help you?
I do.
So which one of you gentlemen is Alberto Hernandez? You are? Okay.
How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. So you have a Rule 3.08B violation charged on September 14. Do you admit or deny that?
Admit with an explanation.
Okay. You want to tell us your explanation, please?
So actually, we were having a bit of a trouble with the trash collection company. There was miscommunication because we have a gate around the building because we'd have other bars that they were actually coming and throwing the trash away, so we would have to close after hours. And the trash company, we wouldn't get in because they would say they were coming at a certain hour to collect the trash, and we would leave the gate open for an hour for them to come. They wouldn't come, so the manager on site would close it. And then they wouldn't collect the trash, so we just had to get according to one another to see when we could leave it open for them to come and pick it up.
And did you ever get it straightened out?
We did get it straightened out, yeah. We have a set hour now that they would come.
Has anybody checked on this?
When did you straighten it out?
We straightened it about, what, last week?
This weekend there wasn't. It was still the same amount of trash.
This Saturday, yeah, we were very busy.
Well,
Yeah, it's understanding.
Well, you need to add another day. You need to add another day for your pickup because
Okay.
we go by there a lot, and it's a main quarter, and it's just visible. So if you have 2 days
That's
pickup,
understanding.
you need to do 3 days pickup.
Okay.
And then what about the loud music calls in reference to that?
So we were doing, it wasn't specifically for that location,
Okay.
Commissioner. It was just that whole corridor. So we were just doing a
Alright.
special investigation, looking at all of them in that one block.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Commissioners have anything else?
No questions.
Nothing else.
Anything further, Mr. Hernandez?
No, sir.
Okay, on the basis then of the materials change contained in the charging documents, testimony received in your admission of a violation on September 14, I find a violation of Rule 3.08B on September 14, 2019. This might just be a snafu in working with your trash guy, but you've got a lousy record. I mean, since you've had the license since 2011, and this is like the 7th or 8th time before us, which is not good.
I know, it's understandable. I mean, before, we did have a lot of problems with other establishments coming and throwing their trash at night. Like, we had video recordings of them coming and just dumping on us, and we had to pay for it at the end of the day, which is understandable. That's why we're closing the gates now, and we're working on
These other violations, though, were not trash violations. They're sales to minors, prohibited hours, selling to inebriates, problematic issues. Okay. I'm sorry, but the record's terrible, so I would impose a $3,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Is there any way possible we can get that to 90 days?
No. I just asked that question, and we're not permitted.
I too find a violation of Rule 3.08, small b, sanitation safety on September 14, 2019. I agree that this record is not great, and I would concur with the imposition. And for that reason, I would concur with the imposition of a $3,000 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 3.08B on September 14, 2019. Would concur with the imposition of a $3,000 fine. You are at risk at potentially losing your license, so I would take this seriously. I'd be working with our staff to make sure that you have no issues.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Agent Chris Malice.
That's you.
Mr. Chair, may I call out to the gallery?
Please.
Is anyone here for Euphoria Restaurant and Nightclub LLC, trading as Euphoria Restaurant and Nightclub, 1301 South Ponca?
Do we have service?
We do, and I will hand that up.
Thanks. So it was signed by the licensee. We had any contact at all with them?
I just had a missed call from one of his employees asking me to call him, so.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you do that? Do we have something else that we can?
We do.
Okay.
Oh.
Thanks, Casey. I didn't
On
mean to
next
throw
case.
that at you.
A Hondo Group LLC, trading as Oxygen Lounge, 10 South Calvert Street, a Class B beer wine liquor license, a violation of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1604C3, the 51% food receipts requirement for Class B licensees in the 46th District, September 24, 2019, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, September 24, 2019.
For the record, Melvin J. Cadency representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. All those going to testify, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Mr. Kadensky, so we've got violations on September 24, 2 of them. Admissions or denials?
Be denial, it's more of a technical argument. I don't see that there's any argument with the amount that was filed by affidavit. I think, Mr. Ackles, don't you have one that says 35%?
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
moving into evidence exhibit number 1, a copy of the food
Okay.
form.
It'll be received.
All right, now, what our argument is that this license has a 1/3 food requirement. I'll include a copy for you of this current license, and every year after it was transferred to Mr. Nawazi from 2013, they're all the same. Oh, excuse me. If you see the very bottom, serving 1/3 food, this license, and I'll give you a little history on it. I don't want to bore you on it, but I remember getting this license, and I know some of you may remember, I got this license for Jimmy Campbell. Jimmy Campbell used to be the assignment commissioner in Baltimore City.
I knew
He
Mr.
wanted to go
Campbell.
into restaurant business, and that license was granted years and years ago. And it was predates that food requirements under the statute. And our argument is that it was grandfathered in, and there are other licenses in the 46 that don't have a 50% food requirements.
So I'm taking it that the requirements have changed since the license was issued.
Yes.
Was he given any notice of the changes?
Well, it wouldn't, what we were arguing wouldn't affect them anyhow. And to give you as an example, you're Mr. Ackles, and you want to come into here, and you want to open up well, then you don't have to be Mr. Anybody. And you want to come in, you want to put $10 million into a place, and they say, here it is, it's a food requirement as a 1/3. And you say, great, I'll invest in it. Then next year, you say, no, we changed it. Well, no, you gave it to me under a 1/3. You can't just change it on me. I'm grandfathered in. It's like an ex post facto type law where you can't go back and
Well, I
make someone
understand,
else
I understand your
responsible.
argument, but, so the legislature changed it?
Yes, I liken this to changing the age for smoking from 18 to 21. Prior to the state legislature changing the 51% food sales requirements for all licensees in the 46th district, there was a restriction on this license. I believe this license was transferred with that restriction, I believe it was the 70s or 80s when the license was first transferred with that restriction. The 51% food sales requirement for all licensees in the 46th district came later. I believe that was in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I just want to point the attention to the board of the law itself, which requires all restaurants located in the 46th district to provide a food sales form with an affidavit signed by a certified public accountant indicating 51% food sales. The licensee is located in Ward 4, Precinct 1, within the 46th legislative district. That brings that licensee into the scope of this law.
Well, I disagree with that. And I'm saying is that this predated that. There's another license for sale, the Bonchon, is a B license. It doesn't have a food requirement on it.
I'm
You're
sorry.
saying, and that's the Korean, and that's a notice that was sent out saying it doesn't have a food requirement. I know one right on Thames Street doesn't have the 51%. I'm not going to put somebody else in there. And there's probably half a dozen more. When you go ahead and you change it for grandfathered in, that's how the license was granted. And we're saying is that there's been no change and the license has been issued.
Well, if it had been grandfathered in, that would be in the statute.
I don't know. Then we don't have the legislative history.
If I may, there's actually, when the legislature wants to eliminate a food percentage clause for a specific B restaurant license in the 46th district, it has done so. And the example is the Creative Alliance located on Eastern Avenue. It's a Class B beer, wine, liquor license. And in 2014, the legislature eliminated the food requirement for that specific B. So when the legislature wants to eliminate a food requirement, it does so. And if you just give me a moment, I'll find that section in the law.
But
But that was after the statute was put in, not before. This was way before that. And the question is, if you know the legislative history behind a lot of this, there was a 1/3, and then it went to 40%, and then some places went to 50%, and then some places have 70% food requirements. But doesn't affect the license, if you're going to a 70% food requirement in the Canton area, in the one, and you happen to be in that same ward where you were there prior to that, you're not bound by that 70%. That's the argument.
And is there any authority for that?
Any authority for it, but
The
there's no,
argument.
if you're issuing a license every year to this man and tell him it's a third, how are you now
When
gonna
was the
tell him
most
that it's
recent
not a
license
third?
issue?
I'm sorry, sir, say again?
His most recent license was when?
It's right there. I
This is a
gave it.
renewal, so he's had this license for a couple of years.
But why would the renewal say 30%?
It's a clause or it's a restriction that was on the license that predates back to the 70s. When the license transferred, to get a restriction off the license, you actually have to request to have the restriction off the license.
The restriction was he had to have, that's a restriction? Where are
That's-
those, where are the licenses?
It's a requirement.
It
not
was
a
put on
restriction.
as, it was put on as a restriction for the license. And I'm just going to show 12104. This is actually the law creating the waiver.
Okay, so can I understand this? When he got this license originally, which was 2013, it had a 30%?
It had a 30%.
Yeah.
One-third
33%,
requirement?
yes.
And it's been reissued every year saying the same thing?
Correct.
Up to the
Despite,
current, yeah.
despite the fact that the legislature changed the law?
Correct.
And why is that?
That's something that can be eliminated, but for any kind of restriction, when the license transfers, you actually have to ask for the restriction to be removed. It's similar to if
But it's not a restriction that's being removed, they're enhancing the restriction. They're making a greater restriction.
they're actually, well, I would say
Did
they
you
were
say it's now
reducing.
51%?
No, it's, the current law requires 51% food sales.
Right.
This makes it, it gives them more license to sell less food. So their restriction is they get to sell 33% of their sales come from food and 66% of their sales could come from alcohol.
That's what they're arguing,
That's
Correct.
correct.
because that's what their license says.
Right.
That's correct. That restriction has been there, and the board doesn't remove restrictions unless during the transfer, the restriction is requested to be removed
Why
from
would
the
they
license.
ask to remove something that's lower than the statute?
They wouldn't.
All right, I'm confused, but, all right, do you all understand?
And I always think it's that phraseology, it's the classic and often fatal variance between the allegata and the et probata in the case.
So, just,
That which is
Neither do
alleged
I.
and that which is
Don't be
proved.
proof.
ju-
The
just for
perfect aorist, I think.
Just for clarification, there are lots of licenses that, for instance, will say Joe Smith is prohibited from this location, or Jane Doe is prohibited from this location. Those restrictions carry over to the next licensee unless the licensee requests them to be removed at transfer.
Yeah, I understand your argument, Mr. Akers, but I don't view this as similar because this is an obligation that they have to meet a certain standard, and then they enhance the standard, but they don't tell them. I mean,
Or the license itself contradicts.
with the law.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, yeah, is it
So-
odds?
I mean,
And it predates the statute, that's what I'm trying to say. And if you really want it, I can give you half, but I'm not gonna put any other licensees on that have different requirements that have been there for a long, long time.
If it's of any help to the board, a letter was sent last year to the licensee informing him of the 51% food sales requirement and a request to increase his food sales for this year.
We
The reason
have
why
it.
he was charged this year should be in the licensee file, if we can pull the licensee file.
But,
And you reissued the license with the same
And we,
but,
we
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that.
That's the
yeah,
thing.
so
I mean,
that-
he doesn't issue the licenses, and I know like that, well, I know more about that license than anybody should know. But, that's what the requirement that when it was given, there was a lot of Fells Point licenses that are that way, they still have it written on them.
And if moving forward, the board, I can request some advice from the Attorney General's office in regards to the legality of the restriction. So moving forward, we can figure out if that
I'm
restriction
not
should be on.
troubled by the legality of the legislature changing the requirement. I'm troubled by the fact that we continue to issue licenses that state the old requirement and then violate them for not abiding by the new requirement. Now, I didn't know you had sent the letter, which may have put him on adequate notice. I mean, Mr. Kudensky, I guess, is asking us to dismiss
That's
these
correct.
violations. I'm inclined not to dismiss them, but I have a very, I think under these circumstances, it'd be difficult to sanction him for these this time. I think we ought to straighten this out.
Agreed.
So, Mr. Cadency, I would, on the basis of the materials that are before us, find the violations of 12-1604C3 on September 24 and Rule 4 1.6 on September 24, 2019, but I wouldn't impose a sanction at this time.
And I agree with that decision.
I think it's partly our fault. That's why I'm saying that.
So I would, is this, well, so I would dismiss both based upon the technical inconsistency that I think we need to clean up.
Okay, so we have 2 votes for violations and no sanction, and 1 for dismissal. So the violations will stand, but there's no sanction imposed. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're going to write the attorney, can you ask them to give us an opinion? The Attorney General writes a lot of letters. You can get an opinion to the Attorney General. I can't request it.
Well, I'm not sure we need one. I think what we know, we have to clean up our records.
All I'm saying, I think if they go into the legislative history, you'll find some different information.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Clean up the license next renewal season.
Okay.
All right.
Good luck, sir.
So I did okay.
I call exhibits for the record. Licensee Exhibit 1, current liquor license. Licensee Exhibit 2, liquor license copies from 2013 to 2019. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Liquor Board, 2018 through 19 food form. And Exhibit number 2, letter from Baltimore City Liquor Board dated 10/3/2018.
What did we find, Mr. Christmas?
That the licensee was served, however, he forgot. So he will not be.
Did he request that we continue it?
The employee just said that he forgot and he's out of town.
When's our next sanctions thing, Mr. Akers?
21st, right?
21st.
Are we full?
No, we can move it to the 21st.
Let's continue it and give him a chance, but if he doesn't show up next time, we're going, okay?
Mr. Chair, that concludes our afternoon docket.
2 minutes early.
Good work.
Board will be
Thank
in-
you.
Board will be in recess until November 14th, 2019 at 11 a.m.
We thank everyone.
Thank you, Stacy.
I think that to me, that's just it's illustrated, but I didn't see it getting.
What?
Let's talk about.
Yeah, let's, but, I mean, sorry.
No, I was about to thank Stacy, as I typically do, and then I can't walk and talk at the same time.
Good weekend, all right.